Greetings, cadets. In this mission, you're going to learn the spy art of code breaking using your numbers in Spanish. Code breaking is a very important skill for spies to learn because sometimes you want to transmit information out in the open that you don't want to be intercepted and you to be found out as a spy or someone to find out the information you're actually transmitting. Let's say, for example, you have received the missile plans and you're going to be on the flight the next day. You want to tell your supervisor that, but you don't want the enemy to know, first of all, that you're a spy. Number two, that you have just acquired missile plans that are going to fall in the hands of their enemies. So in order to do that, you're going to transmit your message by code. In order for a secret message to be transmitted successfully, both the sender and the receiver have to have the same key, obviously. You're going to do what's called encoding the message. You're going to take what you want to say and you're going to turn it into a code, which you're then going to send. That's called encoding. And on the other end, they're going to receive your code. They have to have the same key, and then what they'll do is they'll receive your code as a decoder. And then you're going to turn that back into what you were originally trying to say. So for this mission, you're going to be both encoding a message using Spanish and decoding a message as well. Let's take a look at a basic encoding method that's been around for centuries and learn a little bit about what it means to encode. What I want you to do is I want you to take out a sheet of paper. On one side I want you to write the letters from A to Z, A, B, C, etc., just down the row. And on the right I want you to assign a number value to each letter, starting with 1 for the letter A, 2 for the letter B, 3 for the letter C, etc. Write out your chart and resume this transmission once you have completed it. Alright. Your chart should look something like this. Notice again, on the left we have our letters A to Z, and then we've assigned the number 1 to the letter A, the letter 2 to the letter B, all the way down to where the number 26 has been assigned to the letter Z. This is going to be our key for encoding our message. First, once we've created our chart, a simple code would involve simply changing the letters into numbers and then transmitting them that way. For example, if we were wanting to transmit the word Spanish, we take the letter S and we change it to the number 19. We take the letter P, looking back at our chart, we would transmit the number 16. A is represented by the letter 1, etc. Now then, since you are in a Spanish-speaking country, you are going to have to transmit your numbers in Spanish so as not to arouse suspicion. So, if you're wanting to transmit the word Spanish using this simple code, you would say 19, 16, 1, 14, 9, 19, 8. Now then, the person on the other end would have the same key as you. They'd have that same chart, and they would hear the numbers 19, 16, 1, 14, 9, 19, 8. They would use their chart to turn those back into letters, S-P-A-N-I-S-H. Oh, they said Spanish. Right? Now, again, that's a very simple code, one that's been around for a long, long time. You may have used it yourself when you were younger. That means it's pretty easy to decode. We want our message to be, our code to be complex enough so that the enemy's not going to find it. So we're going to do something a little bit different with that basic code. Your code transmission assignment will involve taking that basic code and then using a little bit of math first to change the values of each letter. Your transmissions, again, since they're going to be coming from your field position in a Spanish-speaking country, must use the numbers in Spanish. Do not say your numbers in English or you will be found out as a spy. So again, here's how we're going to do this. Let's take our basic code key, which you wrote a few minutes ago. What we're going to do is we're going to be altering this code just slightly enough to confuse the enemy. Before transmitting the code of the message, what you're going to do is you're going to create another 2-digit number to act as our multiplier. And I'll show you what to do with that in a minute. In my example, I've chosen the number 32. Notice again, it's a 2-digit number. We're going to use this number to alter our original code key, our code chart. The number tells the decoder to multiply all the numbers on the decoding chart by the first digit, which in this case is 3, and then subtract each number by the second digit, which in this case is 2. So in this example, we're going to take all of those numbers that we originally had here. We're going to multiply each one by the number 3 and then subtract 2. So our final code should look like this. With 32 as our key, notice we've taken each number, we've multiplied it by the first digit, and then we subtracted the second digit. So for the letter A, we multiply by 3, the 1 by 3, we get 3, we subtract 2, we still have 1 there. But with all the other numbers, notice how they've increased in value. And this is the code key that we're going to use to transmit our message now. All right? We're going to use that code number to assign new values to the letters, which we just did. And when we transmit our message this time, we have to let the receiver, we have to let the decoder know how to multiply his or her own code key. So our first number is not going to actually be a letter, it's going to be the code number. So notice in this transmission, if we wanted to say Spanish again, I'm going to start off not with the letter S, but with the multiplier. So I said 32, 55, 46, 1, 40, 25, 55, 22. Notice that Spanish only has 7 letters, but the code actually has 8 because the 8 numbers, because that first number is actually the multiplier. So you're sending the receiver, you're sending the decoder the right multiplier to help him or her alter the key so they can understand your message. One other thing, for messages longer than 1 word, you're going to be transmitting a sentence in your activity. For messages longer than 1 word, use the number 0 to indicate a space between words. So you don't have to multiply that by anything, just say the number 0 anytime you want to indicate that there's a space between the words that you're saying. Right. On the receiving end, if you're decoding the message, the receiver takes the first number and uses it to alter his or her decoding chart. The first number is not a letter of the message, that's very important. So, if you hear 32, first of all you alter your code key, multiply by 3, subtract by 2. So the message is 32, 55, 46, 1, 40, 25, 55, 22. So you take that and you'd realize, after taking the 32 off, your first letter is 55, and then you have 46, and you'll use your new chart, SPANISH, and that's your decoded. Okay, that's your decoded message right there. For this code breaking activity, you're going to employ this encoding and decoding technique of the LC Spy Academy to transmit secret messages between different groups. If you encode one sentence correctly and decode another group's message correctly using this method, you will earn 4,000 experience points. Please remember that all numbers must be transmitted in Spanish. Do not transmit your numbers in English. So again, your assignment, your mission, you're going to encode a message and decode a message using this encoding technique. Please end the transmission now.